Today on DIY Gaming, we finish what we started. Welcome to DIY Gaming, your source for tips and walkthroughs for making your own prototype and playtesting components. I'm your host, Brian Beach. Today is part 2 of our two-part series where we're casting plastic models. And this is the exciting video. If you missed the boring video, which is very important on our prep work and the materials and all that, you'll need to click on this video here before you get started. But if you really just want to see what this is all about, check this video out because this is the fun video where we get to do all the cool things and you get to see the final product. And there's just a big payoff at the end of the video. Let's get to work. Okay, so I have all 5 of my little mold boxes ready to go. For this bit, we're going to be mixing our Aluminite quick set rubber silicone and pouring it over our models. And just kind of a little thing that I've done since I've started, and usually I only work in 2 ounces at a time because you can mix this 1 of 3 ways. You can do it by weight, nobody really wants to do that. By the fluid ounces or by the volume, which it comes with handy dandy little 1 fluid ounce measurement gizmos here, and I have these full with water, which is why I'm kind of balancing them carefully. Or you can take the whole bottle of catalyst here and dump it into the whole container here. So this is the correct ratio of mixture if you want to use the entire mini kit rubber silicone all at once and just use the whole catalyst. I guess that would be the easiest way to do it, but if you don't want to use it all at once, what I usually do is use it 2 ounces at a time by using the little 2-ounce measuring things. Now here's the thing about this. This rubber base here is real sticky, and it'll stick to whatever container you use, including these little 1-ounce measuring things that I like to use and reuse over and over and over. And so what ends up happening, sorry I have to shake well here, what usually ends up happening is it really ruins your 1-ounce containers. So what I usually do is I fill these up with water as I've done here. I get a 3-ounce little plastic cup and I pour the little 1-ounce things in here of water. And why would I do that? What's the magic here? Well, the first thing is it keeps these containers nice and clean. I can dry those out with a paper towel and use them later. What I'll do now is take a little marker and measure where that water line is right there. Oh, it's not on my monitor. There it is. I should have done that whole thing in front of the monitor. Who knew? So I just measured, you can kind of see where that water line is, and I just drew a little mark there. Let me draw a better one right there. Let me draw another better one. I usually do this at eye level. I'm kind of doing this at funny tilt. All right, oh, that's a pretty good one. So now what I'm going to do is dump out this water, clean this out with a towel because you want the inside of this dry. You don't want water in there with your mixture. But this is 2 ounces now, marked at 2 ounces. I'll put 2 ounces of silicone in it. And this little measuring cup they give you for the catalyst is what you use when you mix a 2-ounce ratio. So 2 ounces of rubber mold and then this little scooper in there. Mix it up, you've got 2 ounces of silicone ready to pour into your mold. What I need is 8 ounces, however, and I know that because I did some careful calculations earlier today using some crazy math that hasn't been invented yet to find the volume of a cylinder. And figured out I need 8 ounces for all 5 of these, and I marked on the inside, which I think I showed you earlier. I don't want to move that too much. Marked on the inside of these. I'm doing really bad at that. Okay, where I'm going to dump, finish topping those off. But I have, in true cooking show style, already measured out my 8 ounces of rubber silicone base that's in here. And if this is 1 scoop for every 2 ounces, that means I need 4 of these scoops in here. I'll mix it up. Let me demonstrate. Shake this up, and I have a little plate here I'm going to use in case I have some spillage. Don't want to get this on my dining room table and end up with mutant children because they've ingested some of my gaming project stuff. All right, so enough of that. It's all over my hand. I'm sure I will mutate soon. So I'm just gonna do this over this little plate here. Oh, you know, before I do that, I need to remind myself how much time I have to stir. I was trying to do this without pulling the instructions in front of you. So you have 30 minutes of working time. That's plenty of time. All right, and what that working time is how much time you have to mix and pour, right? And you'll see a lot of those kind of stats on a lot of different silicones. How much working time do you have? How much demold time you have? That kind of thing. Quick set is my favorite. The work time, you have plenty to do everything you need to do, but it still sets the fastest, and I have the least amount of trouble with quick set. 1, 2, 3. Ooh, I think that's too much catalyst. Well, we just won't pour the whole thing in. We'll get most of it there. There's still some on the edges. I'm happy with that. Ooh, it looks like a nice creamy coffee now, like one of those latte iced things my wife gets. You want to mix this thoroughly. Hey, you got 30 minutes to work with this stuff. You might as well get a nice thorough mixture. I won't make you watch me do that, but make sure you get the edges and the bottom, and my stir sticks are probably not the right size for this. Like I said, I usually do the 2 ounce at a time. Now it's a little bubbly on top in my milkshake mix here. When I pour, I'm going to pour real slow, and I'm going to try to pour it evenly throughout the box here. But I want it to kind of trickle, and that'll help kind of work some of the bubbles out. But this quick set is particularly formulated so that way we don't get a lot of bubbles even later on. So it's not something I've really had to worry about. This is one of the easiest silicone mold systems I've worked with, and I've worked with a few. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get started on the slow pour. Is there a good angle? Kind of trickly pour. Maybe a little bit faster than that. And this is fun. I mean, it's just fun to just get it all nasty. That's just really gratifying there. And look at that. Here, I'll move over to the next one so you can look at that one. Look at that. Isn't that gross? Yeah. All that soupiness. I wasn't done with that one, but I just kind of wanted to move it out of the way so y'all can see as that kind of fills up there. When I do this fortress over here, I want to make sure I get the inside middle, of course. You don't want to miss that. I'm not done with either one of those, but I just want to kind of show you, you know, if you just did the outside here, I'll just pour that a little bit faster, you're going to miss the inside, and of course it'll eventually get there as you coat it, you see, but you want to get the inside of it too. All right, let me stop goofing around, and because I'm making a bigger mess than I want, and actually finish what I've started on these. That should be good there. One and done. Let's go to number 2. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and finish pouring this last one here and talking to you while I do. When we're done, it's just going to look like 5 little milkshakey containers here. Nothing really too impressive at the end of this, but it is real exciting because we know that here in a couple of days we're going to have some nice models to cast. And I say a couple of days because it says the cure time is 8 to 18 hours on these, but I tend to wait a couple days on all my cure times only because I'm OCD about it. I really want to make sure that everything's nice and hard and ready to go no matter what the moisture inside my house is and that kind of thing. I guess first thing you'll see, here I'll kind of stop pouring for a second, you'll kind of see, especially in that big one, you have these little bubbles. Those will work their way out, but we don't want to add to them by dumping in a whole lot at once. But I do have a little bit of this left. I'm going to kind of spoon in the remainder here, and we will see you guys in a couple of days for me, but it'll just be on the other side of this nice little transition graphic for you. All right, well, it's only been one day, not 2, since well, yesterday for me. And I figured I'm just so eager to get to it. Let's go ahead and take these out and demold them. The instructions said 18 hours anyway, so I'm well within my rights to do so. So here we are. This is what we had yesterday. They're nice and hard and spongy on top. And we're going to start, make sure that monitor looks good, right there, looks good. And we're going to start by just, here, let's do this one first. We'll just kind of take this one off. This one is the stone mold. And these, now I would just kind of pop these off. I've done that before, but because I'm not exactly sure how that polystyrene is going to react, I'm going to be real careful with this stone one and just kind of slowly pry it off. It should just come right away from the glass, or you know what, it might just stick to the glass. I might just let it stick. I think I will. Just kind of pull the mold box off first. That doesn't usually happen, but hey, you never know what's going to happen in these DIY videos. There we go, just popped right off. And there we have what that looks like. And here in a moment, after I get the rest, I'll go ahead and pull that out as well. So what do we got here? This is the search token, a pile of bones. Just came right off that time. I'll just kind of push it out. That's usually what happens there, what just happened there, and I'll just kind of push this out of the, there we go. There she goes. Whoop, 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 ha! Still got it. That one came right off with the mold. I'll just push that one out. And you can see, ooh, I don't know about this one. Oh, I see. Oh, look at that. Okay, well, this one's a problem. We'll get to that in a minute. Let's do this one. Maybe this one's good. Okay, this one's good. Same situation. You have it where the silicone came up under the mold a bit. That's fine. I can work with that. Now, here's a problem with this one, and this is actually the trouble child anyway, but we're going to see what we can do with this. See if I can't save it. I don't know that I can, but you see here, one of the pieces of silicone didn't actually make it into the hole. It is in there. It's a little bit further in there. You can kind of see. But when I throw plastic in there, that plastic is going to fill in that void. And if you want to know where that silicone is, it's right here. It's that little piece, that little white piece there. That's not clay. That's silicone that used to be in there, and it came off in the glass just now when I popped it. So another reason to be kind of careful with that. There might be a way to salvage this, but I honestly don't think that there is. I might have to do another round of the Eclipse piece there, just so I'll have more than one of these, because I wanted more than one. Usually with things like, well, a great example is this disc here, or anything with a base on it. You're not going to run into this problem like we did with our model here. This is because the bottom surface didn't evenly distribute and the glue didn't kind of seal it underneath. So if you're following that Catan, 3D Catan thing on Dan Becker's site, you won't see this happening. But that's probably why it's good that we're doing this. So I'm just very carefully, I'm going to take a little scalpel here and just kind of cut along the bottom where I want it to open. And again, I'm just being really careful here. I don't want to ruin the mold that we worked so hard on. All right, we're almost there, y'all. I am kind of scratching the bottom of this model. No big deal, the bottom of the model won't be part of the final look of the mold. All right, let's go ahead and demold this as carefully as possible. I am going to be quite a bit more careful with this one to try to save those middle pieces there. There you go. I'll let you kind of, so you can see that. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's fantastic. saved them all. Those are good. I believe this will make a great model. So not really much left to do on that one. All right, let's keep going. Let's go for the easy one. This one is the pile of bones, and the only thing that might happen with this one is there were some little lips and holes that I filled. I'm hoping we don't rip the inside, but there's no way to really know, so we're just going to go at it. Pull this guy out as evenly as possible. Looks like I might be leaving a piece behind. That's okay. That's okay. What's important is the mold itself stays intact. These are glued pieces, and it's not the strongest of glue. I use something of the consistency of hot glue. So yeah, so some of these, I'll show you in the monitor here, some of these pieces are kind of being ripped off as I pull this out. Quite all right. That is all right. So there's still some little skeleton pieces and stuff in there. I'm going to just physically take those out now. There's going to be a lot of debris in this particular model, but I'm very happy with how this looks because I can work with that. When we throw the resin in, it'll be one solid piece, so it should come out together, as opposed to this, which was kind of a conglomerate of glued pieces. The tricky thing here is just not to ruin my model on the exit. Okay, so what I've decided to commit to on the stone is just to dig it out, and this one will be a lot easier than the fort because I've got a nice hole that I can just kind of dig out. Now I gotta be real careful when I do this that I don't actually cut into any part of the silicone itself. Now here's the positive side to these, the polystyrene. Yeah, they're a pain. I think though the finished product is going to be fantastic, and it's something that I could model. So it won't be as hard to pull out the plastic products at the end. I think you'll see those should just come right out. But yeah, I got a little bit of work to do, so I'm not going to make you watch me do that. I'll come back when these are ready to go, cleaned up. Okay, well, that took a little bit longer than I anticipated. Working with the polystyrene for the first time, a little bit of a learning curve. It does come out, but I had to destroy those models on their way out. But everything's good to go, and I now have 4 really good different molds here in the monitor there that we are going to work with and cast the plastic pieces finally. If this looks like a lot of work, this is where that work is very satisfying. We get a little bit of that gratification when we get to see those pieces of plastic come out of the mold. So we're going to go ahead and start with, we have our 2 parts of the RC3 Alumilite resin in tan. I like tan. I think it primes and paints well, and so I tend to get the RC3 because of its lower viscosity levels, and it is a 1-to-1 mix ratio, and the liquids are real similar in their liquidiness, the viscosity, which means that whenever we measure 1-to-1, 1 ounce to 1 ounce, when we pour that in, we end up with 2 ounces of resin. So keep that in mind. You want to work in small doses. We have a 3-minute work time, a 5-minute demolding, 5 to 10 minute demolding time. This stuff sets quick and it cures quick. And so if you make a giant batch of it thinking you're going to pour it into all these molds slowly, it's not going to happen. It's going to start curing before you're done. I'm talking a lot. Let's get to business. We're going to start with the stone and the Eclipse models side by side. I'm going to try to pour them together because I want you to notice something that's peculiar about this chemical reaction that we're about to do. I feel like Mr. Wizard. You guys watch Mr. Wizard when you were kids or adults? Side note, bar thing. When you are using their cups, which I recommend doing because they're fantastic little 1-ounce cups, you will have a and a B cup, and then later you'll come back to it, and you'll want to make sure you keep the same A and B cup, whether you label them somehow or just pay attention to what you're doing. You don't want to mix B later into your old A cup where there's some residue left, it starts curing prematurely, yada yada. You should be doing this in a well-ventilated area. I don't normally do this at my kitchen table, but the vapors and that kind of thing, while not super potent like paint, are still something you don't want to continually inhale. It's also wise to wear gloves when you start working with this. You don't really want to have a lot of skin contact to the chemicals either. So let's go ahead and do this. This is the most exciting part of our journey here. So let's just, tell you what, let's start with just getting the white in there like that. You don't really have to, I'll just do it, try to get it all in there. And so as not to prematurely cure, I'm not gonna take the same end of the stick in with the brown. I'm gonna flip it over. I got gloves on, so it's okay. And here we go. Dump it in, and we're off. Get a nice mix. Now this is an exothermic reaction, which means it's gonna get hot when it cures. It creates heat, and it would be too hot for me to continue touching the cup. So you want to do this, and then you want to, when it starts reacting, you want to leave it alone. I'm going to go ahead and pour in the Eclipse model first, and just a nice, slow, even pour. Let's get this guy in there. Fill it up, and we want all the edges, even to the very extremities, to get the resin in there. Not quite there yet. Almost there. I'm going to use this toothpick to kind of encourage some pieces. Much better. I am running out of that. Looks like it will do it. There. I'm going to go ahead and pour the rest of this into the standing stone. Looks good. And I want you to notice between these two models, I picked them because they're very different from one another, that this this one that's the standing stone, and that's plenty. I'll kind of leave those there so you can see them in the monitor while I talk. And yeah, this cup is getting a little hot, so I'll just kind of stick that right there and let it do its thing. How about I let it do its thing right here in the monitor so you can kind of see it too, maybe. Yeah. All right. How fun is that? So one thing you'll notice is you can already see it. You can already see this one curing on this side. The standing stone is curing, while this Eclipse model is still kind of doing its thing. Here you'll see it in a minute cure. But remember, this is the one we poured first. I did that on purpose so you can see. And the reason for this is the more volume in one area there is, kind of the more liquidiness that it has, the faster it reacts. And so you'll notice the edges of the standing stone is not yet cured. Look, you can see the middle of that Eclipse one there is starting to turn a little white right there in the very center, where the extremities will take much longer and the edges will take much longer. Because of that, they do recommend that you can heat these molds up maybe in an oven about 140 degrees, I believe. That's Fahrenheit. For maybe like a minute or two. They also have microwave instructions. I don't usually do that. Instead, I just let it cure for longer. So instead of about a 10-minute demold time, I tend to wait about 30 minutes, and I do pretty well with that. I've never had to heat these up to make that work with this RC3 resin. Now notice the cup. The cup here has already got a nice piece of plastic inside of the bottom. Ooh, that's hot. And in fact, the stir stick is kind of stuck to it now. How fun is that? All right, I'll get that out of the way. And kind of zoom in here so you can see a little bit better what's going on with our pieces. Again, the corners and the edges of this standing stone are still kind of liquidy, and only the center of the Eclipse model here has begun to cure. Isn't that cool and fascinating and all that good stuff? So we're going to let these cure, and while those are doing their bit, let's play with the other ones, shall we? Right, so it's been about 30 minutes or so. Let's go ahead and demold our models here and see what we've come up with. We'll start with the stone here, just because I hope it's the easiest one and to demold, and quite honestly, I'm probably most excited about this one here. There we go. Here she goes. Oh, look at that. That is beautiful. focus here. You see some of the pink on it. That's actually from the parts of the polystyrene that got stuck in that mold that I wasn't able to clean out. That's okay. You know, this is supposed to be a rock, so I can dust some of that off if it'll come off, and if not, it'll just get painted over. But look at that, even the texture. I tried to make this model even have kind of a rocky texture. I pressed the rock on it, but that even feels rough. Oh, look at that. That's gonna be cool. Let's go in order here. We'll pull out the Eclipse one now. This one I should, even though it's similar to that stone, I probably didn't give it enough lip. This one is got enough on the edges here. I should just be able to pull this guy right out, as long as I don't break an arm off on the way. Easy. Look at that. Perfect. Look, let me get that close in there. Come on, focus. Yeah, don't focus on this. Focus on that. Here's the original. And there is the duplicate. Look at that. There we go. Nice and focused. That, ladies and gentlemen, is why I like casting these pieces. It's just such a exact process. All right, let's pull out the pile of bones here. Hopefully we didn't come up with too many bubbles or any at all, but this one should. If I can just carefully pull it out so as not to. Oh, now that's gorgeous. Yes, that is just nice. And that was just some glued on pieces of skeleton. Now it's one solid piece of plastic that can be painted. Oh, there is a little gap, a couple places with some air bubbles. You can see right here on this side that didn't quite make it all the way in, but that's okay. I have the mold here. I can always just try again. So that's it for the tutorial, and I'll wrap this thing up with some photos of these models after they've been duplicated a few times, as well as some after shots when they've been kind of cleaned up and painted, so you can see kind of the full potential of a project just like this. Well, that's it for this episode of DIY Gaming. For more Pub Meeple content, make sure you check out our website at www.pubmeeple.com. We're also on iTunes with the Pub Meeple podcast, so check that out. And of course, you've already found our YouTube channel here, so make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you next time.